You don't see many private houses or private built houses or anything like that. It's mostly council tenants. It's more like over the other side where you start getting into the private houses, and that's where it starts being a lot more posher area.
Yeah. People with a lot more money have private houses, don't they? So the class people and socials, they're rough, don't they?
These plans for these 8 sites are all for sale.
Yeah.
And although the prices of the individual properties will vary, some will be lower, some will be higher, it is all for sale. So in that sense, there aren't any for rent at the moment.
They've knocked down a lot of council houses, but if they're on about building private ones, what's the point? When there's so many people waiting on a council list to be a council tenant. Not a lot of people can afford mortgages and things like that, so I think it's a pointless thing, actually.
Yeah, you'd have thought that they'd have bought...
They'll build more council houses, because there's a lot of people waiting. We're all entitled to a 2-bedroomed house, because we've only got 1 baby. So we bid for as up to 3 houses a week, just 2 bedrooms, and if we're lucky we get it. If not, we have to bid next time.
You can buy half the house, or like 30% or something, and then they own the rest. But then as your income increases over a period of time, you can buy the rest. That's right. If you've got that aim in mind and you want to do it, then it'll probably happen for you. And this development is going to take place over 15 or 20 years.
I've always lived in crowded conditions. I've never known how else, you know. I got a load of kids at home, and now I've got 4 of my own. And I mean, even though Leanne's married now with a baby, before that I was still overcrowded.
We found out we was pregnant with her when I was 6 months gone, and as soon as we found out that's it, we got an application form from the rent office, filled it out. We had to be honest and open. Thought we're not going to do what everybody else does on the estate and try and be a single mother. A lot of young mothers round here are from round here, so they've got the family round them and everything. Do you know what I mean? I think that's why they stay round here, to be close.
I've got 18-year-old twins in a box room. I've got my middle daughter in the next room. Me and my husband in the main bedroom, and then I've got Leanne and her husband sleeping on this bed settee, and the baby is sleeping on that beanbag.
I think there's a lot of young mums wherever you go. You can't just say there's just a load of young mums in Gipton. Like, this is where they put them all. They're everywhere. Young mums are everywhere.
I was in a Gipton flat at first, which is a supported Gipton flat because of family troubles, and I was on my own. And I lived with them for a year, and then when I fell pregnant, they actually moved me from that supported flat into a supported house because with me being a single parent.
Current housing situation puts pressure on my relationship with Sean by the fact that he can't come and stay due to it being a single tenant support, and it can involve us arguing, falling out, separating for several weeks at a time, and it causes problems with Shauna as well. She gets confused, her behaviour changes.
When you got settled and you were all right and that you had the option for them to get another council house and leave you there as a council tenant, so you didn't have their support and they moved to a different house. But then all of a sudden they've put a stop to it. That's why I moved into a Gipton, because I thought, yeah, I can change to council when I don't need the support. But now I'm just devastated because I have to move house now, don't I?
Leeds City Council every week have a leaflet, and it has a list of houses that's empty. And what you do, you phone up and you put your name down for that house. It's called bidding. And it goes on what priority you've got to get it. Well, Leanne's priority extra, which is top priority. But we're still not getting anywhere with bidding and bidding and bidding. And she's just missing out all the time.
It's a flat.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, they're all flats out there, Birmingham. Yeah?
Yeah.
And there's Eagle.
Yeah.
Do you want to go down?
No, I don't know the secret.
I saw some other week. and it was a brand new built one, and it looked really nice, but I'm sure it was quite far away. See, that one looks nice.
Where's that?
Alton Moor. Which you're not going to go to, are you?
Would you live in Alton Moor?
No, not really.
Well, do you know there's a flat that Mary, Evelyn and Jenny live in, and they're actually quite nice once you go upstairs, aren't they?
But
it's
prom.
the stairs.
That's going to be awkward with baby, innit? That's nice. But it's a bungalow, innit?
Mm.
So you won't get there.
No.
God.
There's absolutely nothing in here.
They're disabled, so you've got no chance. And these don't even have pictures.
Burn it. What a load of shit.
I've been living in an house what's got a cracked window for 5 years. I've got I can't even bloody say it right. Damp in house. You know what I mean, you can't have a bath without looking at the ceiling being black. You know what I mean? We have to wash it and paint it over because there's tiles missing front roof. I don't want to live like that for the rest of my life. Once I get my house, it's going to be different. I'm making a new change. And if I want it to be perfect, I think I've earned that.
Let's face it, all these single parents, they get everything. They've no problems, have they? They get their rent paid. They get stuff from social, so they don't need to go out to work. It's such as us at work that get notes. I mean, if you're a single mother, you can get these gypsy houses. Because there's 3 in this street.
You are trapped round, well, it's not even just round here, it's everywhere you are trapped. You can't, once you get into something, you can't get out of it, can you?
When I was younger, being a single parent, there was a stigma. My parents would have killed me if I'd have come home pregnant. Nowadays, they don't think no of it. I mean, Leanne got married 3 weeks ago, and she's the only one round here that's got a baby and got married. All the rest are still single, And it was nice that she has done, but I feel sorry for others because, they get pregnant and lads bugger off, they don't want to know.
Not a lot of young mothers go back to work now because it's hard to go back to work.
Why?
It's not as easy as you can't just go get a job and go back to work like that.
Why can't you?
Well, it's easy enough to go get a job, don't get me wrong, but then you've got to pay your full rent and everything. How are you meant to pay rent, council tax, gas, electric, your food, plus all your stuff that your baby needs? They're not cheap, are they? And then still live as well on a minimum wage.
I've worked all my life and gone on, you know what I mean? Some people might have reasons why they've gone on at dole or they won't work and stuff, but I've worked, I've paid my tax, I've paid my insurance, so therefore I think I am entitled to have at least a nice house.
Luma! Luma! Luma!
Put this on. Yeah.
Mum!
At the moment, getting prepared for sort of like the baby is the main thing on my mind, and my housing situation literally has been put to one side, whereas once baby's born, I am literally then going to have to give myself a big boot up the backside and get on with applying for social housing, not only in Gipton but other areas.
Well, I've been on council list for God knows how long. Well, since I found out I was pregnant, that's 6 months ago. And you have to bid for houses each week, every Wednesday now. But they don't put no decent houses in the magazine that you bid from anyway. They're all in rough estates where nobody wants to live. You've got to be extra priority to get one of those houses, which I'm not. I'm only classed as general needs. They said to me the standard waiting list is 5 years. That's why you've got to lie. You've got to make yourself to be. You've got to make yourself out to be in desperate needs, and otherwise you're just not going to get that priority.
They keep saying to try and go beyond your boundaries, so we've been bidding beyond boundaries, but I keep telling them, I've lived here all my life, this is all it bit I know. I want to stay here because I've got my mum's support behind me, and I don't want to go rushing off into another part where I don't know anybody and I can't get hold of my mum round the corner, just in case there's anything wrong.
So then I went to Gipton Housing Association. I went and had an interview there, it went really well.
that I went there about 3 months ago and didn't hear a thing since. I rang them up and they said no decision's been made, so you can't get nowhere now. I'm just looking, and now I'm like going off at a state, you know, like onto Wales and that where private rent accommodation is. I've been offered an house from Ridings and from Housing Associated Limited or whatever else, but they're asking up Seacroft, down Chapeltown and then up Bermontoffs, and all them are nearly like 80 odd, 70 odd, 90 odd pound a week. And that's what I keep saying, I cannot afford to pay them rents, but yet they're supposed to have less houses than the council. But yet I've been offered 3 times now from private housing. In fact, I'm not even being offered an house yet from council at all. They don't want to know, they just tell me to keep bidding.
When we got our first house, I was at work and my mum phoned me. She says, come straight home tonight. She says, you've got a house. And I says, what? Council had been in the street and there was an house empty next door but one to my mum. And she just said, Joel's engaged, she wants to get married. Can she have the house? She phoned rent office to council and I had to call and get the keys that way home from work. That's how easy it was to get an house.
Read books.
Once you've eaten your breakfast, I promise I'll read a book to you.
Read books.
I needed supported housing as they have workers that come out and give you not only practical support but no like moral support, and I'm quite an emotional person, and I have my Gipton worker that comes out and just sits and has a cup of tea and a natter, and she kicks me up my bum and tells me I have to sort my house out once in a while, and she's really actually quite supportive, and the support is great. It's just a shame that there has to be a time limit on it for the fact that they don't have funding, and obviously there's other people in worse situations than I am that need their support more.
I think since I've been in this house, since I got settled and everything, I think it's helped me to become more confident. Because I feel so comfortable and because I like the area that I live in and I like the street and everything, it makes me feel I can walk out the door with a lot of confidence because I get on with everyone. I don't have to be nervous in any kind of way. That's why this house is so important to me, because if I feel this comfortable and this confident and stuff living here, then that's how I want my son to feel as he's growing up. I want him to feel as comfortable and confident about walking out the door and about where he lives and about, you know, not being scared of anything or all like that. That's why I'm desperate to stay in this house.
My current housing situation affects mine and Sean's relationship in many ways. A lot of the time, one being that Sean can't stay overnight more than a couple of times a week. Also, sort of like the fact that sort of like he wants to stay, I want him to stay, but I have to send him home or to his dad's or somewhere else for him to stay. And it causes a lot of confusion with my daughter as well. She sort of like gets up in the morning and asks where her daddy is.
If you set someone up in a supported house and you get them settled and you get them all supported and stuff, and then you make them leave that house and go, like move on and go to another house, then you're just breaking away all the support that you've given to them in the first place, because then obviously a lot of people would want that support again.
I think they give you 3 years is usually a maximum support unless you're really struggling. And I've had 2 years already, which means I'm looking, well, 2 and a bit. I'm looking at them trying to move me on within the next six months, and that means trying to find a council property that actually means downsizing as well from a 3 to a 2, as my next baby's going to be another little girl and they'll be expected to share, which means less room. And obviously the difficulty of actually getting a council property where I want it.
My mum, before she got made redundant, she was just going through to buy her house because she wants to buy that house because she's lived there a lot of years. She feels settled and at home there. So in that respect, they should buy the council houses, but in the other respect, I think They should stay council houses, yeah, but I don't know, I'm kind of contradicting myself there. I don't know, it's a two-way thing.
So is the solution then to build more private houses?
Nobody around here can, like, I'm not saying nobody can afford a private house, because obviously some people do work, they are going to get a mortgage and stuff, but 90% of people around here who's going to be able to afford them? From looking around, nobody.
Everyone needs a home. Everyone deserves to live where they feel comfortable, secure, safe. And if you've been in Gipton community for a long time and you have family and friends in the area and you feel secure and safe, then why should you not be given a home in that area?
All your memories are in the house. Mine are. It's like I remember that front bedroom being a playroom for us. We spent hours in there. So I think that, yeah, I think it's what an house is really. Your childhood, what it used to be like, what you can remember from it, the good and the bad. An ideal home is a happy home. As long as you're all happy living there together, that's an ideal home. You don't have to have the best things, you don't have to have everything. Just as long as you're all happy there together, that's a home.
Mine would be all modernised. That would be my perfect house. Lovely fit kitchen, stuff like that, cooker in it and stuff, do you know. But someone else, his perfect house wouldn't be as much as that. They'd settle for less than that probably.
It's always going to be my home to me. It's because I've been brought up there and my dad and all his brothers got brought up there as well. So it's like the family estate.
My mum's round the corner and everything, so I've had my family close by all the time. I've got to know the neighbours really well, so that's helped because they all look out for me now and stuff, so I feel safe.
I'm absolutely gutted about having to move out of Gipton, but you've sacrificed you've had to make.
I believe a home is something to invest in and, yeah, to leave behind. But obviously I want memories for that house as well. A house, to buy a house and to live in it and then, say, buy another house. All you'd be doing is the money you put into doing your first house up, yeah, you redecorate every that many years and what have you, don't get me wrong, but the memories you make in one house, you then, if I sold that house, it's like I'd lose all my memories and everything. I'd want, if I buy a house, I want to keep it forever because that would then be my family home. It's not a case of just leaving it for my kids, it's a case of I want it to be a house full of memories and joy and happiness. I want it for where my kids grew up in and then where my kids bring their kids and they come to grandma's house and that used to be my bedroom, that. Or no, my grandkids come and stay and it's, well, you can have your mum's room and you can have your mum's room. And
why is that important to you?
Because family's always been a big thing with me mum. We used to go to my grandma's all the time and have tea and biscuits and out would come dollies and dressing up boxes, and family was always sort of like what my mum was all about. I have this dream of sort of like having a 4-bedroomed house and a nice large back garden and a nice medium-sized front and a Barbie in the back and having my mum down and sort of like my partner's family round and all of us having a big bash and a laugh and a joke and just creating memories and keeping on to them memories and doing family things and hoping the memories will last and last and last.
Have you and your husband decided what you could both afford towards a mortgage?
We haven't really sat down and budgeted and on buying a house, we've budgeted on renting it instead.
So at the moment, you've not obviously seen a property at all that you want to buy. You want to get an idea of what you can have, really.
Yeah, well, I don't really know how you go through it. So I went to the bank and I asked to see a manager or something, and I told her that we're interested, and she said straight away I need like nearly 3 to 4 grand up front. I just do all the paperwork and the assessment on the houses and stuff. It's like,
right.
Okay, and that's all I know really. I don't know
Right.
how you set about.
Okay, well there are related fees with buying a house. Obviously, the building society will charge a fee for evaluation of the property surveyed, and sometimes they'll charge an administration fee.
Right.
You would need usually between 5 and 10% deposit to put down on that property as a deposit, and then on top of that you would have your legal fees, and obviously any fees related with the mortgage.
So will it be roughly the same then, around 3 grand?
It depends on the value of the property, and obviously the deposit involved, really. Right, so there's £1,900 a month coming in, but there's obviously quite a substantial amount going out. So really, if you were looking at maybe, you know, £150,000 house or £140,000 house, your income would need to be, I thought, somewhere in the region of £2,700 a month coming in your house, you know, net.
Right.
So if we're looking at going to a normal lender, they would lend maybe 4 times your income, sometimes 4.5, so you could get maybe £80,000 to £100,000 property on that. But as I say, as you are now, it would be quite tight because you're only working 24 hours a week.
Yeah.
And then we've also got to take into account the benefits, your child tax care. So there's a handful of lenders that will lend mortgage monies based on benefits like working family tax credit, child tax, you're getting £53 a week. There's not many lenders that...
That'll go down after she's turned 1. It'll go down to like nearly £40 odd a week.
That'll go down?
Yeah, it'll go down that.
Right. I think that from what you've told me today, it wouldn't be advisable to buy a property until your circumstances change, that you are earning more income, you're doing more hours.
I always said if I fell on pregnant this young, I wouldn't be able to keep it. I wouldn't be able to sacrifice my life to bring up a child. So like when I found out I was pregnant, I was really, really gutted.
I felt that I'd fallen on at a reasonable age because I didn't have him until I was 19. Whereas they are having them at 15 and stuff, but people still looked at me as if I was 15.
I was very edgy. I couldn't, you know, nobody could talk to me. I'd just bite their heads off and stuff because I had all this playing on my mind. And then one day, I threw the pregnancy test at my mum. One day she said, "What's wrong with you?" So I said, "Look," I just threw it at her, and she just burst out crying and told me everything were going to be all right and that she was over the moon. And then I actually got my brother to tell my dad for me because I was too frightened. My dad went absolutely ballistic, you know, me being his little girl and stuff. He didn't want me. He thought, I don't know, I think he expected better.
At the time, I think I was a lot more self-conscious, like they were thinking, you know, she won't mountain up, that's another one on social, you know, and all that lot. Whereas I was still doing stuff, I've still continued doing stuff. I don't want to just be a mum. That's why I don't want another one yet. I want to get a career behind me and stuff. But people do look at you like, my own dad does it. He looks at me sometimes and he don't think that, he thinks I'm going to be like my mum on the social and just producing kids all the time. But I don't want to go that way, but I know he looks at me that way.
My boyfriend telling him what awful, I had to think, do you know when I sat there and played all these different ways of telling him in my head, but not one of them came out right anyway when I went to do it. I just ended up blurting it out. He went absolutely crazy, ran off. Went and got drunk with his mates and left me sat there, not knowing anything. One minute he wants to be there, the next minute it don't, 1 minute it does, next minute it don't. It's just absolute, it's like having 2 babies with him. Like, I think all men are babies anyway. He cannot handle the fact that he's going to have responsibilities and things like that. I mean, he says, I don't understand this, but he says he loves me but not this baby. So he can't be with me having this baby, so I just like to fuck off then because my baby comes first. And that's what he just cannot get his head around, the fact that he's having a baby. He absolutely hates it. I don't know why, he will not, you can't get anything out of him, you can't talk to him. I think he's just scared. That's all it boils down to, he's frightened to death. But so am I, but I've had to cope with it, I've had to deal with it. And I've done it on my own without him, so now I can say piss off.
What we have is 3 distinct options. I mean, in option 1, we have these are the early phase 1 sites, which are part of the joint venture between the council and Bellway, which will get developed first. Now, as part of this, we'd normally require, with any development site, 15% in this case, of the total number of houses within those sites being affordable.
It'll be social housing.
It could be social housing, sub-market housing, somewhere where, it's below the actual prices for the actual market.
Yeah, below market value, but it'll still be like a private house.
Yeah. One of the key things we've got to understand is what the demand is in the area. Is it families, growing families, so do we need to provide bigger houses?
It's a variety.
Yeah, so it's trying to create a mix in there.
I rang up a house and they said that we're third one in line, and that was like nearly 4 weeks ago.
This is the document which explains the options and the proposals for change.
It goes to the housing office, and it is the allocations manager at the housing office that has the final say. So it doesn't all run through the council itself. At one time it was just the housing manager to say, we'll just give you a house. They like the look of you, or obviously know somebody that lives in the area, and it is down to if your family's there as well, because we lose so many through right to buy, and because of the demolition that's occurring in Seacroft at the moment, we are having to buy back people's houses that have bought them, so we can demolish the homes and rehouse them, and that's the problem at the moment. Until we've moved everyone out of these homes that are being demolished, I'm afraid that your priority extra may be in limbo for a while. But you still need to keep bidding.
For 8 months.
Yeah.
Alianne is really down at the moment. She's not just her, we all are. We're all under a lot of stress and strain. And sometimes I open my mouth and I think, oh God, I shouldn't have said that, I'm upsetting her. Because I love her so bits, which is my daughter, but I want her to go.
I want her out.
I want her to have her own home.
Oh, well, I want her to not want her to bed.
I mean, when she said to me the other day, I get
house?
a cuddle once a fortnight for about a couple of hours when you go to me, my mother-in-law's. And I thought, she's a young married girl, she's 23. They should be cuddling up every night on settee, not once a fortnight for a couple of hours. And that upsets me, it really does. I went upstairs and I had a little cry.
Better connections to other. I'll put it on both.
I was going to say, yes.
To other neighbourhoods.
Well, it's on the new development there, what's coming up.
I mean, when they say, why do they want to stop on Gipton? I said, because I come from a family of 10. I said, we all live on Gipton. My nephews and nieces have got houses on Gipton. My daughter's grown up here. She works here. Baby's in nursery here.
She'll be growing up in it.
Why should we move off? Why should we move off?
Shouldn't have to.
I've lived here 41 years. You shouldn't, should you?
No, and neither should Leanne.
No way.
People that can buy property can live anywhere, can't they? But people that are on the council, there's still people out there. They're no different to any other people, they just can't afford housing. No one's higher than anyone else, are they? Like sometimes you look at people and if they've got private houses, sometimes they can be a bit more snobby, you'll find, sometimes. But where used to live in, all council people, they're all more down to earth, we find. because we're all down to earth in Gipton.
But there are houses in Gipton which are ex-council houses which are being sold, so they're also private housing.
I know, but council people are people on the council that have been on council houses. They've bought them, haven't they? So they're still the same people.
I believe these options, each one would work on a sense. Each plan would be reasonable if there was affordable social housing included. Option 1 is only like a small change in sort of like across the East Leeds area. This does include sort of like Gipton, Seacroft and Holton Moor, but there is minor changes that will be made. The brown areas will be where the take down houses and replace with privatised and affordable homes. The green areas are like going to be enhanced green spaces. There's supposed to be a super tram. This is the blue lines here. And also they're on about putting more town centres in as well, and shopping complexes in option 1. And generally it just starts to sort of like go on to sort of like a more area, more development, more changes, on a wider scale, making the regeneration just basically on a bigger scale, doing many a change. But again, you can see there's more houses, more brown areas where they will be taking more council houses and replacing them with affordable homes. And again, on option 3, the same again, they will be taking more and more of our social housing to make way for private and affordable homes.
I don't want things to change. I do, because I want better stuff, do you know what I mean? But I don't believe it's going to happen like that. I believe they'll build these houses and all people that can afford it will move into them. I don't believe it's going to, do you know what I mean, help us.
Looking into my own situation and also the fact that it looks a bit I'm never ever going to be able to afford one of these, I believe that it's not going to be for the better of Gipton or the community, but for the pockets of those proposing to do the regeneration. It's going to be for better to do families with better incomes and that are already sort of like already on the property ladder. I don't believe it's actually here to help the Gipton community.
Just walking up here to see this private house. I've heard there's one for rent up here, but I just need to see if I can afford it. But I'm just going to go see the landlord and have a quick look around and see if it's nice first. Yeah. Needs sorting out. I have to get a skip or something like that to get all that in it. Yeah, skip. A new bin, that's out. And it's step sorting out the, oh God. Oh. They need to unplug the drain. Oh, that's leaking. Well, it's absolutely perfect for what I want, but the thing is the housing benefit aren't going to cover the rent for me. So I'm going to have to go down and see if there's any ways round it. So that's next step, going down to Great George Street to see what they can do to help me. But the house is absolutely gorgeous, it's just perfect, it's everything I want. I need these steps sorting out. Molly could actually fall down these. Straight down steps. I don't come on. It's quite a big room. Yeah. It's a nice space.
What makes it perfect?
It's just how it's planned, it's just the perfect little house. It's just nice. It's what I want.
Even though it's not in Gipton?
Even though it's not in Gipton. I'd love to just pick this house up and go put it in Gipton. But I can't, obviously. Flipping heck. Don't like these. Flipping heck. Steve, man. Oh, I don't like them. Molly could fall down them, couldn't she? Yeah, they need sorting out. It's just lovely, it's just nice. I don't know. And there's no chance I can get an house on Gipton now, so this is like my last resort. It's like my last chance. It's quite nice in here, isn't it? Yeah. It's quite big in here. I like the rooms, they're quite big. At least it's main bedroom. I think it's bigger than my mum's, but then again hers is a long ways. Yeah, I think it's bigger than my mum's, yeah. This'll be our room. Yeah, I like it. Can't see it out here. What's wrong? Well, nice high windows, I like that because then I know Molly can't, you know what I mean, open them, lean out, but then again, they're old fashioned once again, there's cracks in them, I can't open them I'll probably have to get a chair or something. I'm not even going to try with that one, dread open it. I've noticed there's quite a bit of damp round the house. There's loads there, down here, sides, some here. There was some downstairs in the main bedroom as well, I noticed as I looked up.
So do you like this house?
I'll have to put a bit of work into it. I like the rooms. The rooms are quite big.
What will you have to pay for this house each week?
It's rent, innit? I think it's £46. Rent's not bad actually, it's £46 something pence, I can't remember now. So rent's not bad to say I'm getting all this, but it's alright.
It's not in Gipton?
No, it's up Hairolls.
Which is next door, but it's not in Gipton. How do you feel about that?
Well, they told me to bid outside my area, which I have done. I didn't think I was going to get outside at Gipton, the way that lass was saying it up on that Saturday when we went with all councillors. But I know my nana's just round the corner, you see, and my cousin, she's getting a house just over the road.
What happens if you don't accept it?
Well, I don't think I've got a choice, because they've just said to me I'll go back down to general needs. It's either basically take this house or we will offer you one until we want you to have an house, really. So, look, it's a lot of pressure to say yeah. You know what I mean? Because I've got Molly to think about, I've got my family to think about when I'm living in their house. I've got my husband's, you know what I mean? Because he's wanting to get out and it doesn't really matter whereabouts now because it's getting that much. So I've got to think of all that. So it looks like I'll have to accept it. Finally got an house. Finally feel a family. It's starting to come like a family now. I'm really crying now, flipping it. It's all coming real now. I've been waiting for this for so long, it's finally coming real. Now that it's coming real, I'm scared about the next step now, which I'll have to face, but as a family. So so it'll be nice. See if we can bond properly. I have to get out of this heat, man. Flipping heck. I go downstairs to everybody else.
Have you got any baby names yet?
Yeah, I've got Daniel for a boy and Brogan for a girl.
Oh, they're nice.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to stick with them though. Oh, just 1 second. Hello? Oh, hi, Steve. Really? Yeah, that's great. Yeah, when? Yeah, that's fine. And what time? Right, that's great. Thanks a lot, Steve. Alright, thank you. Thanks a lot, bye. My references I've gone through when I've got the house now.
That one, the one on Harrow's Lane?
Why?
But it's not Gipton, is it?
No. I'm only going to go there until something else comes up, I think, anyway.
Oh, so you still want to stay in Gipton?
Yeah. I think it's just a temporary thing. It's not where I'm going to live.
It's not that far, actually, is it, where Harrow's?
No. It'll do for now, I suppose.
At least you've got it.
Yeah, no. Really?
Matthew, her husband, is a first boyfriend. She's never been one for going, you know, knocking about. She's gone out with friends. She met Matthew. And it's commitment. You know, she's one of those. She's like me. You meet somebody, and I won't say fall in love because you don't fall in love straight away, but you're committed to them. If you're going out with somebody, you're going out with someone, and you have to make things work these days. I mean, I've been married 25 years, and I think it's give and take.
My mum, she's been a lone parent sort of like all my life, really. Had on and off partners. She did have a stable relationship for a while, do you know what I mean? But things happened. I was the youngest up until I was 8. My mum actually had 2 more boys, 2 years apart, and I helped look after them and sort of like change them. And so right from basics, I learned sort of like how to change nappies and feed, clothe them, teach them how to use a potty, teach them how to read, teach them how to write, teach them how to count, teach them how to play. Just, my mum may have been a lone parent a lot of years of raising us and that, but she did a good job, and I believe that she taught me everything I know about being a mum, and I actually have the same sort of like morals and scruples and things I teach Shauna, she taught me.
A lot of people think I'm old-fashioned, you know, in how I bring my kids up. Even my own family. My brothers, my sisters have said, you know, I've wrapped them up in cotton wool. I'm overprotective. And I know I am. And that'll never stop. I mean, Leanne's, 24, she's just got married, got a baby. But I still treat her as if she's a little girl. I try not to, but I still interfere, you know, like she's getting out and I'm going out and picking the carpets for her and, you know, we'll do it this way, we'll do it that way. And it's because I want everything nice for her. You know, I don't want her struggling like we had to.
I want to, my children to have an education, and I don't just mean, you know, like primary and high school. I want them to go to college and uni. Now, I was in college, but fell pregnant, I want them to be able to have a career and do things they want to do, go places they want to go. I'm going to support them no matter what they want to do.
Oval. Clever girl.
They're more liberal now, aren't they? They're more free with it. I mean, they go out with it, they meet somebody and that's it, they're in bed the same night these days. I'm not being funny, but that's what they do. You didn't have that years ago. But that's how they've been brought up in that.
Right now I'm living roughly the same sort of like area as my mum did when we were small, and I'm raising her in the same types of ways. I just want to be able to sort of like make sure there's provisions there for when we're not, and make sure that they're looked after.
Yeah. Hold that, come on, babe. Hold that. Yeah. I've had a stable home. You know what I mean? It's like I've had parents that love me, what's been there for me, and whatnot. With his side, it's like his mum's divorced, he's got a new daddy. It's like in my eyes that it's just got knocked down from pillar to post really. You know what I mean? So I think I couldn't have had much time because of their situation, divorcing and getting married again and people's gone to prison and whatever else. So I think he's struggled a bit. He's used to not getting close to anybody because he just got on with it, didn't matter, you know what I mean? But I think now that he's in with us, he's noticing now that what we've got we'll give.
That's good.
Go there.
Yeah.
Is that it? Modern families these days don't have much time for each other. But a nice family, I think sitting down at a tea time and telling your family your day and stuff like that, I think that's good in a family because then you get the communication and you know what's going on.
Times change and things change. I believe we've got more support now. There weren't any of that for me mum. She were on her own and she had family and that, but they have their families, do you know what I mean, as well, and they supported her, but it weren't like they could help her every day, or she had to do a lot of it herself, and I believe we have it slightly easier, but I wouldn't say it was a walk in the park.
I don't think that two parents make a perfect family. I think you can easily have a perfect family with just one parent, either a father or a mother, as long as you get all the needs off that parent.
Two parents is ideal, as you have then a female and a male input into sort of like I'd have a male and a female role model for children. I find is something that I didn't have and something that I always wanted as a child myself. Don't get me wrong, my mum did well with us, but it's something I missed. I miss my dad terribly and I don't want Shauna going through that.
I think where the family lives is a big influence on how a family works, because if a family is unhappy with where they live, then it's going to cause friction in the family as well as outside. If you live in a street where you don't get on with your neighbours, then having that stress on top of your head and then bringing that into your family is going to cause more stress in your family.
I believe that a house is a big priority in a family, as otherwise you're not a family unit, i.e. like me and Sean don't live in a house together. I live in my house and Sean stays where he can. And although in eyes of other people we're classed as a family because we get along together, and he still sees Shauna and texts her and what have you. We don't stand as a family. We don't live as a family. We spend time together as a family. But then he goes his way and I go mine. I go home to my bed and he goes home to his bed. And to me, he should be coming to our bed in our home with our children. I believe Sean having an input in sort of like Shauna's life as well as my own makes us a family unit more than anything else as well. And the only way Sean can do that is by living with us.
I think he's struggling with being in our family a little bit because he's trying to understand it. I think we all muck in, we all look after one another in ours. It was his birthday on Monday. He goes, oh, I don't think I'm going to get any cards from your lot. But he did, he got presents as well. He goes, how come I've got cards and presents from your family? So I said, well, what are you on about? I said, you are our family now, Matty.
Most of the argument of us having an house and that together is the fact that all he wants to do is look after me and Shauna and the baby. The fact that he knows he has to leave in half an hour, so he'll become offish and then I'll become offish and then we'll have a big row, and instead of staying an extra half an hour or something like that and spending time together, we'll actually spend an hour arguing over the fact that he's got to leave or other things before that, and then the fact that he's got to leave. To the point where I've turned around and says, enough's enough, and we're actually separated. He comes and spends a lot of time with his daughter, don't get me wrong, every chance he gets, he's there. But that's the only reason he comes round at the moment, because the arguments were that bad. Because of the stress and the tension of him not being able to stay and other things, we decided it'd be better that we just got on his own 2 feet and tried just getting on as friends and him seeing his children. I'm not saying it's going to last forever and that we're never going to try again. It's more right now the arguments out. The relationship isn't worth the arguments that we're having and the stress and the strain that we're putting on each other. We're just turning into bitter people for it.
Do you still love him?
Oh yeah. Well and truly, deeply love him. But again, it got to the point where no matter how much I love him and he loves me, we were talking to each other like we was nothing, and it fell apart in the end anyways, but at least this way we're talking and we're looking forward at looking at, yeah, let's get ourselves on his feet, and he's looking into getting work and things at the moment and getting himself so he's sorted out, and I'm looking into having this baby and getting some form of training or even a part-time job once Bane's born, and maybe try and get a private house even, but I don't know.
Peters can't do it. I do expect someone to fill out this on their own. Would you be able to do it? Yeah, a minute. Oh my gosh, see what I mean? I do expect you to do it without help. Brainiest person in the world couldn't fill this out without a problem. Oh fuck it, Kate, I can't be arsed. No, I'm not doing it.
Just think, right, get it out of the way and then you can move in quicker and it's less stress.
If I got back with him, I wouldn't be able to claim housing benefit because he works full time. So the housing benefit would say, no, he's liable to pay your rent then, which means he'd have to pay £475 a month out in rent, which discriminates against young people because he can't afford to go out to work, to pay the rent, to buy the food, to get the gas and electric, to buy all your furniture, to buy all your household needs, and then plus you've got a baby's expenses. If I'm willing to lie through my back teeth and say, no, he's not here, and no, I'm not with him anymore, then we would be able to live together and be happy because he'd go out to work and I'd still be getting my benefits and getting my housing benefit paid. But if you want to do it all legitly, they don't let you, because then they'd make him pay for everything because he's working. I wouldn't be entitled to no benefits then. So you can't afford to live. So it's either your boyfriend or your house. You've got to make that choice. Lucky for me, he's made the choice for me, but if I were to have that choice, what would you do?
It's a bit scary, getting his own house. You know what I mean? Because you've got responsibility then, and I don't know how he will cope with that. I hope we're not going to be shouting at one another as much because we ain't got that stress and tension in it. I've got my mum and daddy to support me and hopefully to support Matty as well, and hopefully see if he does change. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do. That's what scares me.
Hi, love.
Hiya.
I've been frigging down there.
Where?
It's gone from bad to worse at Great George Street Housing Office.
Oh, yeah?
It's gone from absolutely bad to worse. I can't have the house now anyway. So I've gone in, everything was fine, and I sat down at the table and we started filling all the form out. She went, oh, how old are you? So I said 19. So she went, well, do you know you're only entitled to £50 a week before you're 25 anyway? So I said, well, doesn't it matter that I'm pregnant? Doesn't that count for nothing these days? So she said, until baby's born, that you can't count the baby until it's born.
So you're supposed to move straight into an house when you've had baby and sort it all out from there?
Yeah. So then I got on my high horse and started carrying on saying, well, it's not really fair and stuff like that, and now I'm here again. Back to square one with no.
Have you found the bond yet? You've got the bond to get as well, haven't you?
I've got the bond to get. I've just applied for it. I'm having to use my maternity grant for half of it. What I'm supposed to be buying out baby's stuff with. I have to use my maternity grant for half of the bond, and I'm going to have to borrow another £450 from somewhere.
No, they'll pay your thingy up front, won't they?
Well, they're not willing to pay out up front until I'm in that house with a tenancy agreement, but how can I be in the house with a tenancy agreement when I can't afford the rent? I've had to come away with the funds because I've got to go back with a tenancy agreement that I'm going to be signing falsely because I can't afford to do it. I can't agree to the terms of a tenancy agreement, can I?
No.
With affordable housing, you only start off by buying a percentage of the house, which could take between 30 and 50 years for my first mortgage to pay off, and then obviously to try and buy the rest. Would there be any point by that time? I'm 21 now, 30 years, 50 years, 50 to 71. That's a long time to be paying a mortgage.
But a lot of people do that.
Yeah, but they achieve by the end of it normally a full house. This will be only part of a house.
These houses are going to be on the edge of my back garden sort of thing, so I will be able to see them, and it is going to make my house look a lot. I don't know. It's going to make me feel lower than them, sort of thing. And I don't know how I don't know. It depends on the people that are going to move into the houses, I think. You're going to look at them and think, well, I'm still not as good as them because they've got a lot more. Do you know, you're always gonna, like, I can just look out of my back window and see people with better stuff constantly. That's what I'm gonna see.
If we're classed as a deprived estate, then they should be doing things for us, not other people. And they shouldn't be taking homes away from us to give them to other people.
They're just trying to move posh people around the area and get the rogues out to try and make areas better and stuff. But I think that's why a lot of people are not too keen on the private houses. Because I think if they said council house, it's the private and the council that people are thinking about. If they said, oh, building all these council houses, they'll be like, oh yeah.
Even on a part-time job, I wouldn't earn more than, what, 10? Is it 10? 10 grand a year, if I'm lucky. And obviously, me and my partner at the moment aren't together. We're running separate lives, living separate lives, and obviously if we decide that this is working out better than his relationship ever was, it's going to be a long time before I'd be accepted for out like that, if ever, on a part-time job. It means getting going and trying to do college or night school or something like that to get a career, to get a better wage, to be able to afford to pay for that and support my family too. That's a lot of money, and there's no way in the next 5 years I'm going to come into a job that's going to pay that.
So what are you going to do in the meantime? Because you have to find somewhere to live.
Just hope that I'm going to have to get my bum into gear and start looking for council housing, social housing, and hopefully make one of them my home and just appreciate what I do have.
It's not perfect, but it's nice and it's ideal for me. Because it's small, it's just cosy, feels like home. It feels warm when you walk in, it feels very homely. But the thing is, it's just too expensive. But because I've got a good family and they've just been willing to help me out and help me on my feet until I get into like a routine, you know, of paying everything myself.
What do you think would have happened if your family hadn't jumped in?
I'd have still been at home with nothing. I wouldn't have had an house, I wouldn't have had no furniture. I wouldn't have had a thing. All my baby's stuff my family's had to buy me because I've had to spend the baby's money on the bond. I think I'm just lucky to have such a good family around me that's been willing to help me out that much.
How do you think your mum feels about you moving out now?
She's probably thought, well, she's married now, she's actually grown up, she's a woman now. In my eyes, that's what I think, because she's got a baby of her own. She's following my steps. We sit down, we talk to each other now and again. She goes, oh, well, how do you feel about having your own house? I said, at the moment, I don't know. It's like, you know what I mean? She just comes out with baffling questions half at times. It's like, Mum, do you have to? It's like 11 o'clock at night, you're tired, I'm tired, and you have to come out with that question. Like, are you happy, Leanne? It's like, what question is that? Are you happy, Leanne? What do you think? I'm married to someone, you know what I mean, I've been with for 4 years, I love him totally. I've got a little girl, no one can take her away. I've got a family who's here and supports me, won't do anything for me. I've got a job what I've been there for nearly 7 years for. You know what I mean? Am I happy? I feel sad for my unborn child because I think in a way it's going to be deprived in a way where I want. Because I was in that community where all my family were there and everything, but obviously my baby's going to be born up here and it's not got all that family lifestyle around it. But like, my child's just going to see around here and think this is like normal. But to me it's not. What I'm going to miss about living with my mum and all my sisters and that is talking with them. I know I can pick up a phone or come down any time, but yeah, it's not the same. When I go to a bedroom, I know they won't be there. I know if I watch a film on TV and it scares me, I know I'll have to be brave enough to go to the toilet on my own. But I don't know, they're just there. I'm used to that being there, so when I get my own house, it's just going to be me, Matty and Molly. Not as many people in it.
I don't know people around here, and I don't know how they think either.
But it's only a mile from where you're from.
I know, but it's amazing how much it differs, how different each area is. Oh God, it sounds awful, doesn't it? I'm making it out to be awful. I've got to live here. Oh God.
Is it awful?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's awful to me now because it's daunting. It's new and it's scary. You make the best of things. You can't always have everything, like you say. You've just got to make the best of what you've got. And that's what makes people happy, and that's what makes a happy home, and that's what makes a happy family, making the best of what you've got.